thanks so much for joining me today. I'm very excited to be bringing you this project that I created using the new Hey Love Simon Says stamp release. This release has a bunch of really beautiful heart, love, Valentine themed products, and I think you're really going to enjoy having these in your stash. I used a couple of them here to create these cards. This is a set of 3 cards because I did an inlay die cutting technique and I had a bunch of pieces left over, so I figured, well, if I'm making one, I might as well make a whole bunch. Now, the Hey Love release was released on December 16th, and all of the products that are in the release I have linked over at my blog, so you can go ahead and check that out. I'm going to be showing you a few here of the products. I'm not going to show you all of them because at the time I was filming this, I wasn't sure which of these products that I was going to use for the card design. I ended up deciding on using the Hearts Alive die, which I'll open up here so you can see. This has a collection of really cute hearts nestled inside of these little rectangles, which are really nice. Now, and I do have to apologize for my voice. It's a little bit raspy because I've been sick this past week and I've lost my voice and I'm finally getting it back. So I'm doing this voiceover now, but my voice is still very scratchy. The dice that you just saw there was the Clipping Hearts dies. And now I'm pulling out some of the sentiment sets that I set aside here. This one says, "You make my heart smile." And I like that these sentiments are separated, so you could use them all at once, or you could use them single. So like for instance, I'm only going to be using the word love from the Hey Love sentiment. So I really like that you can be able to mix and match and choose the different pieces that you want to create your own sentiment using these dies. So that's really nice. So I'm going to be creating, like I said, a total of 3 cards, and I'm going to start off by creating my card base. This card base is cut from some Simon Says stamp ivory cardstock, and I'm taking the Hearts Alive die and I'm lining it up along the center area of the card, leaning it more towards the top than I am towards the bottom. I want to have a little bit extra room at the bottom for my sentiment. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all those negative pieces, but you can see here the positive that is creating a window in our card is absolutely beautiful and so delicate. It's a very beautiful design. I'm really loving this die. If you were going to want to go ahead and use these pieces for another card, you could definitely go ahead and save them, but I'm not going to need these. I'm going to actually be die cutting this particular die from some colored cardstocks, such as this cardstock here, which is Dull Pink from Simon Says stamp. In this particular case, we're only going to be using the negative pieces, not the positive. So I want to make sure I collect all of these negative pieces and save them for my project. I'm also going to die cut it from some bubblegum and also some lipstick red cardstocks. Again, because I'm going to be using just the negative pieces, I want to make sure that I gather all of them and don't lose any of these pieces. Alright, so to build my card, I'm taking this piece of white cardstock, which I'm temporarily adhering to the back side of my card base. By the way, the card base is a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch card. I wanted to do the inlay die cutting technique for this particular die, but I wanted it to have a bit of a recessed look. So I'm going to apply all of the negative pieces that I created from those colored pieces of cardstock. And I'm going to go ahead and nest these back in place, and I'm using different colors in different areas. So for instance here I'm using the red on the left hand side, the dull pink in the center, and then I'll use the lightest pink on the far right, and that's going to fill in those squares. Then for the hearts, I'm going to mix and match and place them randomly, making sure that I don't have the same colors overlapping each other. So for instance, I'm not going to put the light pink heart over top of the light pink paper and vice versa with the other colors. Once I've gotten all of those hearts and squares and negative pieces applied down onto my white cardstock, I removed it from the card base and I pressed it down really good to make sure it was adhered well. Next, I'm taking some sheer shimmer spritz and I'm going to spray this with that shimmer spritz to give it a sparkly appearance. You could go over top of this with the Spectrum Noir or Wink of Stella or other types of glitter brush pens, but I think adding a sparkly appearance with the shimmer spritz saves a lot of sparkle and also gives a much more even application. If you have some areas that applied a little bit too much sparkle, like some blobs or droplets of sparkle, you can just lift those up with a dry rag like I'm doing here. Then I'll go ahead and set this aside to dry, or you can go ahead and hit it with your heat gun to speed it up further. I applied some foam tape around the edges of my little hearts here, and I'm making sure to leave a little bit of about 1/8 of an inch around the outside edges of this heart cluster because I want to make sure that you can't see the foam tape. I applied that down onto my card base, and you can see the great dimension that we have from the card base lifted up off of those panels. And I really like this, how it has a lot of dimension and a bit of a 3D appearance. For my sentiment, like I said, I use that Hey Love die, and I'm using just the word love, but I die cut it from some gold glitter paper. Once I've removed it from the die, I'll go ahead and set this aside. I also die cut that word love from some white cardstock. I die cut it a total of 3 times, and I layered that behind the word love that I cut from the glitter paper. Haven't done that yet, but I will do that in a second. I'm also pulling out this love stamp set. This is a great love stamp set. Very similar to one of Simon's more recent stamp sets called Believe, where it had that really great big giant word Believe on the stamp set with a bunch of supporting elements. This is the same exact thing, except it has a love theme, which I think is really, really cool, and I'm so excited that they created another stamp set like this. Now I'm going to go ahead and stamp that supporting sentiment, which says you more each day, so my sentiment will read love you more each day. I'm heat embossing this with some white embossing powder onto colored cardstock. This colored cardstock is again that dull pink, and I'm going to go ahead and trim this down with my tonic trimmer. That way I can cut it down into a little banner strip, which I'll be able to trim then with my Tim Holtz mini snips. These mini snips are so awesome. I've gotten these recently, and I've been using them like crazy. They're my new favorite scissor other than the Tim Holtz shears. The Tim Holtz shears I use all the time too. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this into some V banner ends. I just basically cut a slit up the center, and then I'll meet it on both sides at an angle, and that creates the perfect little banner end. I'll adhere this down onto my card base using a bit of ATG adhesive, and then my love die I'll attach down with some liquid glue. I'm lining up that banner along the bottom portion, and if you look closely you can see we've created a visual triangle here with the dull pink cardstock. We've got the dull pink on the 2 little hearts on the left and right hand side. We've got the dull pink strip in the middle, and then the dull pink banner along the bottom. And I did this purposefully so that way each card had the same visual triangle right in the center there with the colors. So if you look at the still pictures of my finished cards, you'll notice that each banner corresponds with the hearts on the right and left hand side, and also the colored strip in the center. So I hope this has given you some inspiration on using some of the newest products from Simon Says Stamp's Hey Love release. Again, sorry about my voice. I'm getting better, but it's a slow track of getting back onto a normal sounding voice. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, here's a couple more you might like featuring Simon Says Stamp exclusive products. Thanks so much for stopping by and spending some time with me. I hope I will see you again soon, and have a great day. Bye!